You're still eating whatever you want, whenever you want.
Not necessarily all the time.
This is a matter of life and death for you. Lost only 9 pounds since then. What in the world is going on with you?
I guess I'm eating the wrong things.
And self-destructing.
I'm done with this conversation. Go to her.
No, we're gonna finish with you.
No, we're not finishing with me. You're making me mad.
You
I'm
sit
leaving.
down right there.
You just
You
let
sit
me-
down right over there.
No.
You know, if there's one thing that gets under Dr. Now's skin faster than a pizza delivery during a weight loss program, it's someone who refuses to play by the rules. And let me tell you, Schenee Murray wasn't just bending the rules. She was practically tearing them apart and tossing them out the window. Her story on the show is like a masterclass in defiance, sprinkled with a good dose of denial and topped off with a few helpings of dark humor. Hello, everyone! Before we dive into the wildest moments that made Dr. Now lose his cool, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss out on the shocking twists and turns we've got in store.
There was one time where we was at my uncle's house and I was molested by my cousin. I didn't know as a child what was going on. Schenee had came from the basement and she started kind of whining, and she was touching her front area. She was hurting. All I remember is my mom had took me to the doctor because I couldn't use the bathroom. It was hurting really bad.
Let's start with Schenee Murray childhood, because honestly, it reads like the backstory of a tragic character in a twisted novel. Picture this: the only child in the house, living what most would think is the dream, getting all the love and attention a kid could want. But nope, life took a sledgehammer to that fantasy pretty early on. But things took a dark turn when she was just 5 years old. She was raped by her cousin. Poor Schenee.
I started sneaking food right after that incident. Food made me feel better. It made me feel happy. So then I started putting on weight. And when I was 7, I was about 130 pounds. When I was in elementary, my teacher did throw away my lunch because I was too fat.
Now that's a game no one signed up for, right? Poor Schenee. As if that wasn't enough, she drags herself out of the basement, tears streaming down her face, and heads straight to her mom. The situation escalates quickly as mom rushes her to the doctor. And here's where the plot really thickens. Turns out that kick was more than just a bruise. It was a life-altering event that set Schenee on a path where food wasn't just sustenance, it was her refuge, her escape hatch, her new best friend.
Take food from the refrigerator and take it back to her room. And we would find like bones, either in the couch or in the bed, underneath the bed. I got very heavy. And when I was 11, I was around 160. I was larger than all the rest of the kids. So I used to get picked on for being heavy. I just kept gaining more weight.
Now, here's the kicker, literally. Food became her comfort, but like any toxic relationship, what starts as comfort soon turns into a nightmare. Fast forward a few years, and Schenee finds herself face-to-face with Dr. Now, the man who's seen it all. But trust me, even he wasn't ready for the roller coaster that was about to unfold. From the get-go, it was clear Schenee was about as committed to the program as a cat is to a bath. Dr. Now laid out the plan, complete with neon signs pointing to a healthier life. But Schenee? She just wasn't interested. It's almost as if she saw his roadmap and decided to take a detour into Pizzaville instead.
You're still eating whatever you want, whenever you want.
Not necessarily all the time.
All right, I don't think you're grasping how dangerous your situation is, Schenee. With all the health issues you've got, you may not even make it to 30. You're not even trying. Did you even reduce a single thing in your diet?
I cut pork out and I started eating crab meat and shrimp.
But oh, it gets better, much better. You see, Schenee had a secret weapon in her arsenal of bad decisions. Her husband, the unofficial food smuggler of the year. The pair was like the Bonnie and Clyde of unhealthy eating. Even in a hospital, with all the tools to turn her life around, they couldn't resist the call of greasy fast food. We're talking pizzas, burgers, the whole forbidden feast. And when Dr. Now found out, let's just say, it wasn't the happy kind of surprise. The tension could have cut through a thick crust pizza.
Here's the situation.
Okay.
For 4 months, I have seen you from day one. You haven't lost any weight. Plus, the hospital staff not only seen you eating pizza, but burgers. And then you smart enough not to throw it your own trash, throw it in somebody else's trash.
It was me that ate it. She didn't eat any of that.
You both need to stop lying. You came here to have weight loss surgery.
As if the story couldn't get any wilder, 6 months later, Schenee decided to ghost the program entirely. She skipped appointments, dodged the psychologists, and when Dr. Now finally managed to check in on her, she hit him with a curveball that left everyone speechless. She questioned his beliefs in God, as if that had anything to do with the fact that she was still dangerously overweight. And then, the grand finale. She hung up on him. I mean, who does that? It's like hanging up on Batman when he's about to save Gotham. It's not just rude, it's downright reckless.
Telling you simple science, and you don't want to listen, so don't try to teach me medicine.
Oh, I'm not trying to teach you medicine, but I'm trying to teach you about my body. Okay, can I ask you a question? Do you believe in God?
What does that have to do with this discussion? What I'm telling you is not a matter of faith. It's a matter of medicine and science and physiology.
Let's talk about how Dr. Nowzaradan, the man who's seen it all, lost his cool. You know, you'd think after working with countless patients who struggle with extreme weight, nothing would faze him. But then there are people like Ryan, who somehow managed to push even the most patient and understanding professionals to their limits. Ryan is the kind of guy who could write the book on how not to follow a plan. Welcome to Ryan's story, or should I say, the tragic comedy of someone who thinks they can outsmart Dr. Nowzaradan. Spoiler alert, they can't. But let's not rush to the end just yet. There's plenty of delicious irony to savor here.
I've never really felt like I was full. That's a feeling I never get, so I only stop when I run out. But if I didn't, then I could keep eating and eating and eating. By the time that I finish the meal that I'm eating, I'm already thinking about the next meal. Like when I'm eating breakfast, I ask my mom what we're having for lunch. But I need to know what's in line and what's next, because I already can't wait to eat again, even though I just did. So my whole day basically revolves around me eating and drinking.
So here we have Ryan, a guy who, despite having a golden ticket to change his life, decided that a little thing called effort was too much to ask for. I mean, it's not like his life depended on it or anything, right? Wrong. But hey, let's give credit where it's due. Ryan's journey was a masterclass in how to take every opportunity and throw it out the window. His story should be a case study in what not to do when your life is literally hanging in the balance.
It always made me feel like I was this burden or problem he wanted gone. And then my choice from that was to turn to food, because it always made me feel better, you know? You feel bad, you eat a donut. And that's how I coped with a lot of things. Turned to food to get the comfort that I was looking for, and it filled that void, so food became my best friend. So I started to eat a lot, and I started gaining from that. At first it was slow. It just seemed like I was a little overweight. When I was 10 years old, I broke that 100-pound mark, and the difference in my size started to get hard to ignore.
Now, Ryan's early life was far from ideal. With a mother and stepfather who seemed more interested in making his life miserable than being role models, it's no wonder the guy turned to food as his escape. Honestly, can you blame him? Some kids play with toys, others eat their feelings. Ryan clearly took the latter to a whole new level. But here's where things get real messy. By the time he was 17, he was already tipping the scales at over 300 pounds and dealing with a drug addiction that would make even the most hardened rock star wince. Talk about getting dealt a bad hand in the game of life.
That started me on a downward spiral where I didn't really want to be around people, and all I did was go home and eat. When I started partying, drugs and alcohol with my friends, freshman and sophomore year, I partied pretty hard. I smoked a lot. I drank more than any parent knows I did. I was still eating all the time also, and I just got worse and spiraled more out of control. By the time I was 17, I was already up to 300 pounds. But that was a bad year for me.
When Ryan reached out to Dr. Now, he was tipping the scales at a staggering 740 pounds. Yeah, you heard that right, 740 pounds. It's funny how people can talk a good game about wanting to change, but when it comes down to it, they just can't seem to walk the walk. Ryan was no exception. Instead of shedding the pounds, he clung to them like they were his best friends. Maybe they were, in a weird, twisted way. After all, if you can't be bothered to follow through with a plan designed to save your life, what does that say about your priorities?
Or if you're ready to wake up and get your life together.
I'm ready to do what I need to get healthy, Dr. Now.
Alright. So if food is destroying your life, then what seems to be issues with your eating?
My eating habits now is just I like pastas. It's a big, like I say, kryptonite, I guess I would say. I guess something that I have a trouble with. I'm trying to wean off of it. And I eat late.
And this is where the real comedy, if you can call it that, begins. Dr. Now, the ever-patient saint of morbidly obese patients, gave Ryan chance after chance to prove he was serious about losing weight. But instead of progress, what did Ryan do? He started sneaking in cheat days like they were a part of his prescription. And when the good doctor called him out on his lack of progress, Ryan had the audacity to blame it on a malfunctioning scale. I mean, seriously, that's like a student blaming their bad grades on the pencil they used. If only Ryan's commitment to his diet was as strong as his commitment to his excuses, he might have actually made some progress.
The scale's malfunctioning. It won't give me away.
Is it malfunctioning or are you still over the weight limit of the scale?
I know I made it to your goal, Dr. Now. I worked hard, so I'm at least under 650 pounds right now.
So you believe you're under 650 pounds?
That's correct.
Alright. We will agree to disagree then because you don't look like you lost much weight since our last call. So I think the issue is that you're still over the 660 pound limit for the scale to be able to get your weight.
But it doesn't stop there. Oh no, Ryan took self-sabotage to new heights. He missed appointments, ignored Dr. Now's calls, and went on fast food binges like he was preparing for an eating competition. It's almost impressive in a dark, twisted way how someone can be so determined to fail. I guess you could say Ryan was living in his own little world, a world where the rules of health and common sense didn't apply. Unfortunately for him, the real world has a nasty habit of catching up with you, no matter how hard you try to ignore it.
But now that I made it to this point, I need to go back to how I was doing the diet before my mom intervened, where I had my cheat days, because that got me through the first month of doing this. And not being able to have that made the last couple months way too hard. So I'm letting myself go back to my way and enjoy one day a week of whatever I want.
Dr. Now, bless his heart, kept giving Ryan more chances than anyone deserves. But let's be real, there's only so much one man can do. You can't save someone who's determined to drown, and Ryan was diving headfirst into the deep end. The moment he had the house to himself, it was like a kid let loose in a candy store. Old habits, as they say, die hard. Or in Ryan's case, they don't die at all. They just get fatter.
Perez, this is the first time I've seen you call because I have you on my phone under Dr. Now, so I haven't had any missed calls from you.
Well, you missed a lot of calls from me and my office. And so what's going on with you? You were talking about coming down to Houston a few months ago, but you missed the appointment we had for you last month. And we haven't heard from you. But what happened with that?
My driver ended up not having a driver. I got it all taken care of now.
In the the end, Dr. Now had no choice but to cut Ryan loose from the program. And honestly, who can blame him? When someone shows you time and time again that they're not interested in saving themselves, you have to let them go. It's a harsh reality, but it's the truth. Ryan's story is a stark reminder that life doesn't hand out infinite chances. You either take the opportunities you're given or you don't. And Ryan chose the latter with a side of fries.
Over the past few months, I have made a number of appointments to have video calls with Ryan, and he has missed all of them. I guess he's not picking up the phone. And it looks like he's doing that again today. I had a call with him right now, and he's not picking up again. So it looks like he is still avoiding me and playing games.
If you're as hooked as we are on these jaw-dropping stories, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out, and trust me, we've got plenty more where this came from. Laura Perez's journey on the show wasn't just your typical weight loss story. It was a tale of emotional baggage, bad habits, and a dash of cosmic cruelty. Seriously, life seemed to have it out for some folks, and Laura drew the short straw early. Picture this, a 5-year-old kid already finding comfort in food because of some deeply traumatic family incident. Let that sink in. At 5, most kids were worrying about which crayon to use, not which food would make the emotional pain disappear. But hey, food had this sneaky way of wrapping you in a warm, calorie-laden hug, even when it was the last thing you needed.
But I started to gain weight when I was 5. An older cousin of mine molested me.
Would just touch me and stuff. I never told my parents anything. So the molestation went on for years. My whole life just changed.
As if that wasn't enough, Laura's parents decided to call it quits. Divorce was like the ultimate let's screw up a kid's life move, and Laura responded the only way she knew how, with a fork and a knife. Food became her constant, her rock. Because let's face it, who needed therapy when you had a plate of mashed potatoes? It was a tragic truth that when life got rough, people often reached for the nearest comfort, even if that comfort was slowly killing them. The mind could play some pretty sick games, convincing you that getting bigger would protect you from the world when really it just trapped you in a prison of your own making.
And I took all that anger and pain and kept eating. And by the time I was in high school, I was already over 300 pounds. I just kept putting on weight and getting bigger and bigger. And then I met Joey when I was 27.
I did like heavy-set girls when I was younger, so.
Then, in walked Dr. Nowzaradan, the man with a bedside manner as soft as a brick. I mean, this guy didn't mess around. If you were looking for sympathy, you'd better look elsewhere, because Dr. Now was all about tough love. Minus the love. He handed her a diet and exercise plan that might as well have come with a waiver for potential tears and tantrums. And you know what? She needed it. Because let's be real, changing habits that had been cemented in place for decades was about as easy as convincing a cat to take a bath.
It should be the opposite. They should tell you you shouldn't have that. And so you carrying oxygen with you all the time?
Yes.
Okay, and you are diabetic? Laura is at her limit, and the family is the one pushing her there. She carries an oxygen tank with her because she can no longer breathe on her own.
Now, Laura's family meant well, but sometimes well-meaning was just another way of saying accidentally sabotaging. They were there for her, sure, but when being there involved cooking up a storm of calorie-laden comfort food, it was like handing an alcoholic a bottle of whiskey and wishing them luck. And then there was the whole homelessness thing. As if Laura didn't have enough on her plate, pun intended, she and her husband Joey ended up without a home. Could you imagine? You're trying to lose weight, change your life, and now you're also worried about where you're going to sleep. Life, it seemed, had a twisted sense of humor.
Vegetables and stuff like that. She's really sticking to her diet, so I'm happy about that.
Joey's been really supportive. Sometimes I just want candy or cake, but he brings me good stuff now and not junk. Oh, yeah. This is steamed chicken with vegetable, bell pepper, onion, and mushrooms. And it's very different than what I was eating.
When it came time for surgery, things didn't go as planned because, of course, they didn't. Laura's liver and spleen were too enlarged for the typical procedure, so Dr. Now had to pivot and perform a gastrectomy instead. And then, because why not, she nearly died of pneumonia. At this point, you had to wonder if some higher power was just messing with her. But Laura, bless her, pulled through. She dropped a whopping 237 pounds by the end of her journey, slimming down to a lean 182 pounds.
He accomplished some sort of weight loss operation, but under circumstances, that's the only tool we can offer for Laura. So she should recover well, and she should still start losing weight when she go home.
Everson. Now there's a name that sends shivers down your spine when you think about how her life played out on the show. I mean, talk about a tragic backstory with a plot twist that could rival the darkest of dramas. But let's not get too bogged down in the details just yet. We've got a lot to unpack here. And trust me, it's going to get juicy.
He wasn't at first. He was a real good dad when we were younger, but then he got into drinking and started beating on my mom and everything. Just that situation there made me turn to food. Food became a comfort to me because whenever I got upset or afraid or lonely, I knew it'd be there. But then after my dad left, my mom went to work. She cleaned banks. She did whatever she could to take care of us.
Like most of the other contestants, she turned to food. Not just as a comfort, but as a full-blown escape from the hell her life had become. Food became her best friend, her shield against the memories that haunted her. But, like all coping mechanisms taken to the extreme, it also became her prison. By the time she hit 51, Lisa was trapped, literally bedridden and weighing over 600 pounds. Can you imagine that? Being stuck in bed for years with food as your only solace. It's like a horror movie where the monster is yourself.
People I thought were friends was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, I got raped and it just happened. There's 2 different guys. I never told a soul, not even my mom. And I started eating a lot after that. I know I did. I did it on purpose because I wanted to get fat so nobody ever touched me again.
And let's talk about that first meeting with Dr. Now. Can you imagine the look on his face when he realized he'd have to do the initial consultation via video call because Lisa couldn't even leave her bed? She weighed in at 637 pounds. But Dr. Now wasn't fooled. He suspected she might even weigh more. And considering her history with food, who could blame him? Dr. Now laid down the law with a strict 1,200-calorie diet and a goal to lose 75 pounds in 2 months. Sounds simple, right? But for someone like Lisa, it was anything but.
What would you rather be doing?
I don't know. Leave me alone, lady.
Sometimes when we get angry and frustrated, we want to blame other people and have them take
Okay, this is over with. Get out. I'm done talking to you. Give me my book. I don't blame nobody for anything that's happened to me.
Lisa, is part of you afraid of getting help?
Just get away from me.
Okay.
Here's where the dark humor kicks in. Lisa was about as enthusiastic about this diet and physical therapy as a cat being thrown into a bathtub. The second appointment rolls around, and Dr. Now, trying to figure out what the heck is going on, decides to chat with Randy. And what does Randy say? If she asks for food, I'll bring it. Seriously, Randy? That's like giving a pyromaniac a box of matches and then wondering why the house burned down.
In giving to your manipulation. So Lisa, we've given you everything to change your life, then you have to do your own part.
What you gave me? I'm done, goodbye. Here, I'm done.
But life as it tends to do, had one more curveball in store for Lisa. Randy, her rock, her enabler, passed away during the COVID period, and suddenly, Lisa had a wake-up call that hit harder than any diet plan ever could. Maybe it was the loneliness, the realization that she couldn't keep living like this, or maybe it was just plain fear of being utterly alone. Whatever it was, Lisa finally reached out to Dr. Now, ready to commit to her weight loss journey. Thanks for sticking with us through this roller coaster of a journey. If you want more deep dives into the craziest moments from my 600-pound life, don't forget to subscribe and check out our other videos.
More positive than you usually answer, so I'm happy to hear that. Well, how are you doing with the PT? Because they tell me you were cooperating when you got back home. But over the last month, you haven't been doing as much. And you've been telling them you're too tired and you can't do it. So they have to come back later. So what's going on now?
Well, I've been trying.
All right. Are you able to start walking?
No, I haven't even got out of bed yet.